All right, guys, so we've got something pretty intense to talk about today. We're diving into a fiery exchange that happened on The View between Whoopi Goldberg and Ann Coulter. Now, if you know these two, you already know tension was hanging in the air the moment they sat across from each other on that bright, colorful set. All right, here's the scoop. What was supposed to be just another routine discussion on daytime television took a turn, and it quickly spiraled into one of the most jaw-dropping debates we've seen on the show in a long time. You know, things were getting, heated. A full-on verbal showdown. I mean, who would have thought, right? So the drama started brewing when Whoopi brought up Ann's latest book. You could feel the tension rising in the room. Whoopi, with that famous smirk of hers, tried to corner Ann on her views regarding race and politics. Now, Ann Coulter, known for her strong opinions and facts that can sting, wasn't having any of it. You could tell she came prepared with a stack of points ready to fire back. Whoopi started the conversation with, "You've been pretty vocal about race and politics. Care to explain what you really mean in this book?" There it was, the opening statement that turned the tables.
I need you to tell me what you're trying to say in this book, because we don't know what you're trying to say.
What I'm trying to say is race-mongering has been very bad for America. Liberals use it to promote causes that have nothing to do with blacks and, in fact, harm blacks. And that excellent lead-in you just gave about OJ, I mean, I think that was the...
And Ann leaned back, totally unfazed, and replied, "Absolutely, Whoopi." Her response was calm and collected. She basically said, "What I mean is exactly what I wrote. Liberal policies have done more harm than good for Black Americans, and race baiting only divides us further."
Book about white liberals, and I do know, and this is a fact, that once for years, Republican policies on crime and welfare, for example, were called racist. When they finally got implemented, after the OJ verdict, I might add, by crime Giuliani in New York, Reagan and Bush judges overall, tens of thousands of black lives were saved. That is a fact. I don't have to know how to...
The room went silent for a moment, and you could see Whoopi's smirk falter. That's when things started to escalate. Rather than counter with data or facts, Whoopi launched into an emotional rebuttal, accusing Ann of, oversimplifying the complexities of race in America.
But I know because you're to be dead.
What are your facts are just a little shaky. I mean, you're saying that because black people, because liberals are what? Because liberals have abandoned black people now, because...
This was where the sparks flew, guys. Ann, with unwavering resolve, quickly interjected, "If you're going to talk about race, Whoopi, at least get your facts straight." Ann's statement challenged Whoopi's argument about liberal policies, presenting statistics on welfare dependency and crime rates in Democrat-run cities. It wasn't just about opinions anymore. Ann brought statistics. She wasn't backing down, right? You could see Whoopi getting visibly agitated as Ann laid out her arguments with, precise clarity. That's when the real clash happened. Whoopi shot back, "And what do you know about being black, Ann?"
Was good for who?
Yes, because you had millions of white people watching with the equivalent of what in New York we used to refer to as the Brooklyn juries, who simply would not convict even guilty black criminals.
You can't possibly understand. Now, guys, when Whoopi said that, you could literally feel the crowd around the studio holding their breath. Ann, not missing a beat, responded, "This isn't about me or you, Whoopi. It's about policies and results. The numbers don't lie, even if you'd like to ignore them." The audience gasped. You could see Whoopi was trying to use her usual tactic of playing the race card, but this time it just wasn't landing the same way. All right, so then we had this back and forth that was just, verbal chess. The topic swerved to historical injustices, something Whoopi felt could spotlight Republican issues with racism. She brought up the much-debated Southern strategy, but Ann was more than ready for that too. She maintained her stance and pointed out, "Actually, Whoopi, the Southern strategy is largely a myth. Republicans were doing well in the South long before that narrative, came about." Every time Ann said, "Look it up," you just knew she was landing another point. Whoopi looked flustered, really flustered. Her usual conversational Ole tactics just weren't cutting it against Ann's focus on policies. By this point, the audience, usually quick to support Whoopi, seemed unsure of where to go now. Now, guys, This is where Anne really landed a punch that left a lasting impact on the debate. She boldly stated, "Isn't it ironic that the loudest voices on race are often the ones making everything about race?"
And also, Newt Gingrich calls President Obama the food stamp president. That's not racist?
This chapter.
Wait a second.
Do you really think that was? Do you believe it was racist for Newt to say that the president is a food stamp president?
Well, he
Can you
wouldn't
dive
say
into
it
that?
if he
If you keep framing every issue as black versus white, how do we ever move forward? The crowd, in that instant, went nuts.
I'm not a big fan of Newt, so we could just skip that for a second and get to the Southern strategy.
Yeah.
Because I've specifically disproved it. It's an absolutely liberal folklore. Republicans were winning the South since 1920. It was the outer states of the South. It was Texas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia.
Voting. What are you talking about? We weren't allowed to vote.
The applause was like deafening. You could read the room. Anne had struck a chord, and even Whoopi's supporters seemed caught off guard. Whoopi, clearly surprised by the turn of events, muttered something under her breath, but the real damage was already done. What followed were comments from both sides of the aisle on social media, practically lighting up the internet. People debated long after the cameras stopped rolling, parsing through every statement and fact that Anne and Whoopi built their arguments on. Now, guys, what's your take on this? Was Ann Coulter's approach too harsh, or do you think she presented valid points that needed to be addressed? And in a broader sense, what does this say about debates in today's talk shows? Are they more about emotional reactions, or should it be about the facts at the center? You know? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is something worth talking about. At the end of the day, this exchange on The View wasn't just a debate. It was a moment of reckoning that has everyone asking bigger questions about race, politics, and how we address these topics on national platforms. So yeah, that's about it, guys. And remember to like, and subscribe for more updates on stories that just keep you, at the edge of your seat. Thanks for tuning in, and let's keep the conversation going. See you in the next one.